Welcome to Everyday Critic. This is where I will be reviewing one movie or something every day for the entire year. I want to try to watch as many movies and listen to as many albums as possible this year and actually chronicle them and put them down in some sort of like place. So this is kind of what this project is. So we'll see. We'll at the end of the year, we'll probably rank all of them as well. But I think it should be a fun little project. So number one, our first movie review will be Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, one of the biggest movies of the 2025s. And I really enjoyed this movie. So first off, this movie is sort of this, it's sort of billed to you as like a thriller. It's like an action thriller type of film, but it really is at its core like this black comedy. It's a very funny movie. There's so many scenes where you just kind of just like bust out laughing because of how the film is put together and the ideas of the film. So the film follows Bob Ferguson, who's this revolutionary, and there's this whole prelogue or prelude to the film where you're kind of going through his life, and there's certain things that come out. There's certain events that follow into 16 years later where the bulk of the film kind of takes place. And then there is sort of like this revenge plot. There's this really interesting subplot with this like cult that kind of runs America. They call themselves the Christmas Adventurers. And it's kind of like an allegory to some sort of Christianity cult or some sort of right-wing extremist group, something like that. And the setting is this sort of bizarro America where the politics of like right-wing extremism, ICE detention centers, left-wing progressivism and stuff like that. That's where they all clash. But that's not really at the heart of the movie. That just kind of plays as set dressing, and it kind of gives these characters motivations. They do deal with some of these themes in the movie. They're right there to deal with, and I think they do a great job of dealing with them. However, that's not what the movie's about. The movie is more so about Bob Ferguson, his relationship with his daughter, and the events that happen with them. And of course, Colonel Lockjaw, who is Sean Penn. And in my opinion, Sean Penn absolutely steals the show here. He's the reason why you are glued to this movie. When you're watching it, you're just kind of stuck and you are waiting. You're just watching one battle happen after another, and it's because of this Sean Penn character that was created, Colonel Lockjaw. He plays this really weird and off-putting and off-kilter colonel, but he plays it in a really recognizable and relatable way. Like, you just know that this person does exist somewhere, and he plays it to a T. It's probably one of my favorite Sean Penn roles. Absolutely amazing. He's also just like funny in ways and in just like really absurd ways. It just does a great job of writing this villain, because he does ultimately play as a villain in the movie. And there's not one point where you root for this character, yet you are still just kind of drawn to just all his weird mannerisms, the way he kind of grits his mouth and grits his teeth, and the way he walks is all goofy. He's just a really well done character. It's written really well. All the characters are great. Perfidia Beverly Hills, which she plays in the prelude. There's the daughter, Willa Ferguson, played by Chase Infinity. And she's excellent in this role. DiCaprio, obviously, as Bob Ferguson. Then you have the sensei. Benicio del Toro plays this guy called the Sensei. And he's like one of the helper. He helps him throughout the movie. The characters are written in a really sort of relatable, believable, grounded way, and it really helps you buy into their motivations, and it keeps you in the movie. It keeps you gripped. The movie becomes so much more elevated because of how well these performances are. Because without that, if the characters weren't as well written and weren't acted and performed as well, you wouldn't really buy their motivations that much, because the movie, the plot of it, the subcontext, all of it, all the stuff around it is very sort of surreal and kind of silly. But somehow Paul Thomas Anderson, he gets away with it in this film, I think, just because of how well grounded the characters are. So overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I had a blast watching it. I was glued to it. I loved all of Sean Penn's performances. Even DiCaprio's. I thought DiCaprio did an amazing job as well. He's always good in everything he does. I will say that the movie that I want to compare it to, and I think most people will compare it to, especially in 2025, is Eddington, which I did see. And I do think Eddington is a much more memorable film. And I think Eddington also nails this sort of surreal, imaginative, modern America. It just does that in a much better way than I think this film does. This film, I think, is put together better. It's executed better, but it's, for some reason, I just don't have that much fondness of it as I do with Eddington. I thought Eddington was really special and a really awesome movie in 2025. Just the way that they kind of dealt with the subject matter. In this film, they deal with the subject matter in a different way. It's just a different type of thing. However, I feel like the Eddington version of America is more memorable. So that's just kind of my little thing about it. Would I have the same opinion if it came out in a different year? I'm not sure. Because I did watch Eddington recently. It does kind of color my opinion on this movie. However, nonetheless, I did still really enjoy this movie. I guess another thing is that because it's a PTA movie, I was expecting it to be a bit bigger, and it is kind of a big movie, but the way that the movie is portrayed to you is it's smaller. It's a little bit more intimate. It doesn't feel as grandiose, or it doesn't have that gravitas as something like Phantom Thread or There Will Be Blood, or even something like Magnolia. This film is a little bit more, it just is portrayed in a bit more of an intimate way. I mean, there's certain scenes where you are just locked in a car with two characters. But yeah, it's just something that I wanted to point out. It doesn't kind of have that gravitas as some of his other films. Nonetheless, I did love this film. I enjoyed it all the way through. I think most people who watch it will enjoy it. There's a lot of fun to be had. The performances are excellent. Sean Penn absolutely steals the show. And it's a great movie. I think you should check it out. So I do want to add scores to the films that I'm reviewing, and the score will be out of a 5-star rating. This film I will be giving a 4 out of 5 stars, basically meaning that I absolutely love it. I do recommend it. It's just not perfect. 5-star being a masterpiece, one of a kind. And yeah, I don't think this is that type of film, but I think this is an amazing film, and you must see it. Definitely one of 2025's best.